When you hear the word retire, what comes to mind? For most of us, it's a finish line, maybe somewhere in our 60s. But what if it's not an age at all? What if it's a state of mind? Today, we're going to break down the incredible story of a guy who quit the corporate race at just 34, not to stop working, but to build a life and a business that now brings in over 1 crore a year. So let's get into how he did it. And this, right here, is the key to the whole story. This single sentence from the man himself just flips the whole idea of a career on its head, doesn't it? He wasn't running away from work. He was running towards a new way of working completely on his own terms. So that's the real question, right? How does a one-year experiment, a sabbatical, turn into a 15-year journey that he absolutely loves? Well, it's a story of some really smart planning, a few calculated risks, and a totally different way of thinking about money. Okay, so to really get how big of a leap this was, we first have to see where he was leaping from. And, this wasn't some guy who hated his job. Far from it. He was on a super successful, very clear corporate path. Just look at this timeline. It shows a really steady, solid climb up the ladder. He starts his first job at 25,000 rupees a month, and by the time he leaves Infosys in 2009, he's making around 1 lakh a month. That's about 15 lakhs a year. And this financial foundation he built for himself, it's absolutely crucial for everything that happens next. So in 2008, he gets an offer that a lot of us would dream about, a chance to move to Chicago. On the surface, it seems like a no-brainer, the big overseas payday. But he did something most people probably wouldn't. He actually sat down and ran the numbers. And this comparison table is a total reality check. I mean, yeah, the US salary looked bigger, maybe up to 10 lakhs higher. But, and this is the kicker, when he factored in the much higher cost of living over there, his potential to actually save money was surprisingly similar. The big myth that going abroad is always a massive financial win busted right there in the data. And that's the thing, it wasn't just about the spreadsheet. The numbers just didn't make a strong enough case to uproot his entire life. Plus, his family was in India, and he really valued that. And maybe most importantly, he had this long-term dream of quitting to start his own thing anyway. The US move was just a potential detour, not his final destination. So, with the US idea off the table, that 5-year plan he had to start a business, it suddenly got moved up, way up. In 2009, he decided to take a 1-year sabbatical to follow his passion for photography. But listen, this wasn't just a whim. It was a very calculated risk, and it was backed by a really solid financial cushion. He had a safety net of 50 lakh rupees. This is so important. His dream wasn't just built on hope, it was built on years of really disciplined saving. This corpus is what gave him the freedom to even think about taking a whole year off. But there was a catch. His family basically gave him an ultimatum. He had 1 year. And in that 1 year, his new photography business had to bring in 15 lakh rupees in revenue, exactly what he was making at Infosys. If he couldn't do it, the deal was he had to go back to the corporate world. Talk about pressure, right? And would you look at that? He didn't just meet the goal, he totally smashed it. He actually hit that 15 lakh target in just 8 or 9 months and ended the year with 20 lakhs in revenue. So that 1-year break, it officially turned into a new 15-year career. Just amazing. So how did he keep it going? I mean, it's one thing to have a great first year, but how do you sustain it? Well, it all comes down to this incredible financial discipline he created, not just for his business, but for his personal life too. He built a system. And this system applies to every single rupee that his business makes. 40% for expenses like his team and rent, a huge 30% goes straight into savings. Then 10% for social responsibility, and the rest is split for planning and just day-to-day stuff. It's this super rigorous system that he says helped his company sail right through the pandemic without ever missing a single salary or rent payment. That's resilience. His personal investing also changed over time. You can see here, early in his career, he was pretty conservative. Most of his money was in debt instruments, the safer stuff like bonds or FDs. But as his savings grew, his appetite for risk grew with it. Today, his portfolio has basically flipped, with most of it in equity, like stocks, mainly through mutual funds. It's a shift from just preserving money to actively growing it. And all of this brings us right back to the main idea. This whole financial engine he built, it wasn't just to pile up money, it was to buy freedom.
the freedom to live by his own new definition of what it means to be retired. I mean, that's a pretty profound way to look at it, isn't it? He believes that financial retirement is kind of an illusion because life always gets more expensive. The real goal isn't to stop earning. It's to get to a place where you're doing work you actually love on your own time without constantly worrying about money. That's the real retirement.
So what's enough money then? Well, for him, it's not a number in a bank account. It's your ability to answer yes to these 3 questions. Can you sleep well? Can you be there for your family? And are you happy with your work? If you can say yes to all 3, then you've made it. It's about quality of life, not quantity of rupees. So what's the big takeaway for you and me? He pretty much boils it down to this. First, build that safety net. Your dreams need a financial foundation to stand on. Second, he calls the decade from 30 to 40 the risk decade. That's your time to explore, to experiment, because, as he points out, after 40, responsibilities tend to pile up, and your willingness to take those big risks can shrink. And that really leaves us with a big question to think about. His story is like a blueprint for redefining what success looks like. So when you look at your own life, your own dreams, and your own financial runway, what's the calculated risk that you are going to take?